Good evening and welcome to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph, high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Tonight I have Neindorf with me. Say hi.
How's it going, everyone?
All right, well, today is January 2nd. It's a very happy new year in DFK. Right now, as we are recording, Jewel is currently at a price of 19, just over $19 a Jewel. Did you ever think that we would get here? This is incredible.
I absolutely did not. I can remember starting off, and I think when I first got in, it was about 86 cents or so. And I was thinking if it got to a buck, I was going to be insanely happy. So to see it pushing close to $20 is
Yeah,
unreal.
really wild. All right, well, why don't you take us to question of the day?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've kind of hit on this one a little bit before, but I thought it was worth, now that all the professions are out, it might be worth, re-asking the question. And that is, what's the right number of heroes long term in this game?
Gosh, great question here. And I do believe from, probably a total investment standpoint, it's going to get a lot more expensive once you get, above level 10. I think I calculated at one point in time it was $1,500 to get a hero to level 10. I have not done the recent price analysis on what a rune is, but I would imagine that it's still pretty expensive. And so I think probably a number under 10, I would imagine is probably the right number. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, so I've kind of been toying with this idea of just keeping, an army of questers, for example, because of the way mining has come out, where you can have six in a party. I've contemplated just going out there and buying the cheapest six miners so that you can kind of keep a couple of shifts of miners running. And even if you don't level those guys up, I mean, they'll still continue to pull you what 60 some, maybe 70 gold per quest run if it's a full stamina set. So I mean, I'm not sure. I think my number was smaller like that, but it might be growing now that I kind of see how these quests are starting to come out. Although, then you got a lot of heroes that you're trying to maintain also, and that can be somewhat challenging
Yeah,
too.
that's a great point. And I guess the distinction that I kind of have in my mind, and I probably uh, answered the question I thought I heard, not the question you asked. And that is, how many are you going to level up, or who would you consider to be your main party? And I think that's something that, I keep getting stuck in RPG terminology. And main party to me is probably maybe even five or six. But in terms of total number of heroes that I have, I agree. A lot like you in that I keep bumping that number up so I can keep the guys busy in the gold mines and in the gardens. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's I think that makes a lot of sense. It's because there's the two ends of the spectrum, right? As many heroes as you can afford, so you can bring in that
Right.
loot, right? And then on the other end, it's keep your adventure squad that's like maxed out. So I think maybe the answer is really we don't know yet, and we'll have to revisit this in the
Yeah.
future.
I think it's a great one to keep asking us. So thank you for that question. All right, well, let's go to
Sure.
current projects. We've had the alert system now live, and you continue to make some tweaks and updates. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we've been running it successfully for a few days now. A day or so ago, I had hit the first alert that I actually acted upon, and then I went out and purchased that hero. So that was really cool. If you go back to one of our first podcasts where we were talking about some of the hidden data that's kind of in the third party APIs, where you can see those active and passives that are basic, advanced, elite, or transcendent. I put an alert out there that said, hey, if any hero goes up for sale that has a skill set that's elite or transcendent, let me know. And it was kind of funny. It fired on one. It was only 40 Jewel. I'm like, whoa, like, who is this guy? I mean, I really don't care who the guy was. For 40 Jewel, I'm going to go buy him. And then by the time I got the email and logged in, and the seller had already lowered the price to 35 Jewel, so they sweetened the pot for me even more. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. I'm really excited to dive into some of that secret data more, and we're hoping to have a very special guest on later. I won't spoil the surprise, but we're hoping that comes in the next few episodes. My personal filter set that I have reported going on right now is what I like to call the Barney Stinson filter. And so I call
Nice.
it that, and he's a character from How I Met Your Mother, Neil Patrick Harris, and it is the legend, wait for it, dairy filter. And so I've been looking at legendaries that are still Gen 1 and have 10 out of 10 summons. And so trying to find some value there in that market, although with the price of jewels skyrocketing, it's a little challenging to be on the buying front. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point too. And part of the design for the alert system was that I was going to have all of them, naturally expire after like 5 days, and you'd have to log back in and re-update them or renew them, so to speak, because of the fact that with how fast this market changes, an alert really isn't valid for more than 5 days with how quick these price movements are. So I thought that was a good amount of time, and that's something that we can always tweak down the road as we get this more mature or onboard some more users.
Yeah, that is absolutely something that we're looking forward to. I think right now we're tentatively still putting our mile marker in the sand of 100 subscribers, and we're hoping to get access to 10 different people with one alert apiece. And so something that I think will be pretty cool for the community, and we really hope you can help us out and subscribe to the podcast. We'll be adding up all our subscribers across all the different platforms. I think we're somewhere between 10 and 15 right now, truth be told, and so that's a number we're looking to increase. All right, well, let's go next to the announcements from Frisky Fox. He made those last night. Here, let me shuttle us over to Discord. All right, so he had a giant announcement with lots of literal gems hidden inside here. And it actually took me probably 3 or 4 reads to really digest this all. It came out, last night after I had gone to bed, and then we texted about it this morning, trying to get our bearings straight. I was looking for the Avalanche LP pool and was sending my Jewel all over the place. And again, this is not investment advice, but I really lucked out and was sitting on the Jewel in the bank when the large gains happened this morning. So I'm feeling a little fortunate. So let me run you down these, and you go ahead and give me your feedback after I get through a couple of them. All right, so the first one is airdrops for the X Jewel holders. As Frisky says, historically this has been their best way to qualify for airdrops, and it seems like something that the devs really like to reward. That I think it gives them a sense of security when they're helping out the underlying financial benefactors. And so they're going to be giving out 600K crystal to X Jewel holders. In addition to that, also giving away 25 shiny Crystalvale Gen 0 heroes. Now remember, there are only 500, so that's a pretty significant portion of those heroes going out there right away. So let's stop there for a second, and what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Digesting these numbers is really important. 600K crystal seems like a really high amount. And going back to this being X Jewel holders, I think you're right. I think this is their number one mechanism that they're going to continue to push. It is that, it's that nice, safe, you kind of like safe investment, like if it were a bond or a CD in the crypto world, right? I feel like that's kind of what they're trying to do here. They're trying to make it the literal bank. I mean,
Yeah.
I love it. And then the shiny Gen Zero heroes for raffle, I think that's great too. I love the fact that they included shiny just to sweeten the pot.
Yeah, I like that. And I think there has been some complaints from the general masses in regards to rewards always going out to X Jewel holders. And what I hope people would exercise is a little bit of patience with that, as I really think that it keeps the price very stable by making sure that those people are kind of continuing their investment. And I can guarantee you the entire community is going to be clamoring for more incentivization come July 1st when Jewel starts to get
Oh, no
unlocked. That's
kidding.
for sure. All right, well, let's move on to airdrops for hero owners. So this is one of the new airdrop types that they've been teasing in some of the past AMAs, and so they're going to be giving out crystal for hero owners, and so you will get one crystal for every common, two crystal for every uncommon, four crystals for a rare, eight for a legendary, and 16 for a mythic. And they are doing this snapshot on January 21st. And so that is just under 19 days away for us. So, what do you think about this new style of snapshot?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fascinating, and it kind of begs the question, what are what's their goal here? And it kind of seems as though they want to incentivize people to, to those hero wallets, as we've talked about, those wallets that possess at least one hero. And I think because that those are the people that are going to be actively playing the game, long term. Because if you're just in the pool, in the LP pool, you might not. Those might be the people that flee as soon as the jewel starts
Right.
unlocking. They might not actually be game players, but these people who are holding heroes are much higher likelihood of playing the game and spending their runes and spending their jewel and doing more summonings. So I think this is a way to incentivize players, and I think we'll see more stuff like this, kind of like how we talked about in the past with land. It's going to be more available to players. I think this is their first step. It'd be my
Yeah,
opinion.
I like it. And, I think while the total rewards are fairly small per hero, if you think about it, this is going out to the entire player base. And so that's pretty exciting opportunity. And, I often see on Discord people or on Reddit about once a day someone posts, is it too late to get into DFK? And I think this is a great example for those of you who might be on the fence right now, where, it's probably not too late for you to get into DFK because you could gain some of the access to some of these items at a very reasonable rate, as you need heroes to play the game anyways, and so you're also getting some crystal to go with it.
Well, and this one's great because this one is a guarantee too. Like this is just a straight airdrop that you will get if you have a hero. There's no raffle involved, so that's an element that is awesome, and I think will make people happy who have maybe they've been grinding in the gardens for months now, and they finally got that enough, and they'll buy that first hero this month. I mean, I think that's fantastic for
Yeah.
those people.
All right, now let's go to airdrops for hero summoners. And so, staying with that theme of yours of rewarding the player base, each hero summoned between January 1st and the 21st will result in one raffle entry, and up for grabs that there are 10 Gen 0 Crystalvale heroes. So that's pretty exciting. Now, I'll let you go first. I think this is one that carries an incredible amount of weight to it in reality, and the kind of behavior that not only that it will drive, but what the devs are hoping to drive. So, what do you think about this?
Yeah, so this one is extremely interesting. I feel like they've heard the feedback that, summoning is becoming more and more, it's not as, what do I want to say, beneficial in terms of making profit. And I feel like people have gotten so concerned about profit that, some people have even stopped summoning. And that's something that we could, talk about later on too. Uh, but I think this is one where they want people to continue to play the game. And again, this is the best way to really play the game and have fun right
Yeah.
now. So I think it's just another avenue, in my opinion, that allows us to keep playing and keep interest in this game moving forward until they can release some of the more advanced features later on.
One thing I definitely want to give this dev team credit for is they're often thinking three, four steps ahead. And I think this is an example of one of those where they want to drive that, potentially drive that price floor of heroes down. Because if you think about the simple economics of it, there's going to be some supply and demand. And they must be expecting their demand to increase a lot with this AVAX expansion. And so they're wanting to get that supply increase now and probably give those new AVAX people a nice price floor, a very appealing price floor for people to jump into the game. So I think this one is fascinating, and it'll be enough to certainly push me over the limit and summon some guys. I'm probably going to hold out to get to level 5. I hope by the end of the month, and if I can do that, we can talk about that maybe in a future episode. But there are bonus stats that if you pay additional tiers, you can get bonus stats for your summoned hero based on every parent that is at least level 5. And I know this certainly pushed Walton over the edge today. I'm not sure how many he summoned, but he indicated that it was a lot.
Yeah, he wouldn't exactly say, but I didn't want to ask because you know how that goes.
Yeah, for sure. He did mention, I believe, that when the Gen Zeros go to him next, he's not sure if he'll have enough jewel left over. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully the seller pool stays liquid for him, and he can get off some of those. All right. Then we go
That's
to
right.
airdrops for Bridge Jewel, and I'll admit I royally screwed this one up when I first went through it. Well, I should say this one here. And so this is bridged Jewel, and so people who hold Jewel on Avalanche. I'll be honest, I have no idea how the mechanics of this are going to work. I saw some questions on Discord the other day, like how do they know what your Avalanche holdings are? I know I started going through the process of adding Avalanche to my MetaMask, but I don't even have an Avalanche account, and I think that's something that we'll all have to have set up as they open up the Crystalvale.
So I believe what this is I believe this is you'll if you funded an AVAX wallet, um, you use if you go to the docs and you click the link there to the AnySwap, I believe you can buy Jewel that way in MetaMask, and I think that's kind of what they're trying to do here is they're trying to get the docs
All
up
right.
and running. I believe that's the long term play here because that's what's going to get used if I'm not mistaken if I'm correct is the for heroes and whatnot to transfer between realms, you're going to have to go through the docks and I believe pay a jewel or crystal fee in order to transition heroes or items. I'm thinking between these different worlds or realms, if you will.
I'm thinking so too. All right, so then the last one is airdrops for Jewel LP holders, and so at long last, it's finally here. The sweet, sweet rewards of more rewards, I should say, of than just the gardens themselves. I'm actually pretty excited about this one. I'm back in the gardens in a big way. I will say, and I was trying to do some quick math, that 300,000 crystal tokens, I think that's going to get eaten up pretty quick. There's a lot of liquidity in the gardens. And so, I don't think that much is going to trickle down to the general masses. But I think a great sign that the devs are hearing what the community wants, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. With the amount of total value locked at this point, I think, yeah, it was huge. There was an announcement on the Twitters and all that. I think what did it say that the total market cap or value locked hit like $1 billion? I think
I
I saw.
I can't even keep track of it anymore. It is absolutely
It
ridiculous.
keeps rolling every day or two. There's a new achievement. So yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that one is interesting to me too. I we'll have to see how this all keeps going for sure.
yeah. I'm definitely in as much jewel accumulation mode as possible. There's a couple really big things happening here in the first quarter of the year with land coming out, and we can't forget about that either. And there's certainly going to be some initial price of land. We have no idea what it's going to be, and of course, there's also the cost of potentially a crystal Gen Zero hero, or even just sending your Gen Zero heroes out there.
Yeah, that's right. We got to get the guilds going,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. All right, I got a crying baby upstairs, so let me pause here and I'll be right back.
Yep, sounds good.
I have a Gen 1 with me.
Ah, yes, I see that.
Yeah. This Gen 1 didn't want to sleep, so they just want to quest away all night long.
Uh-oh.
We can't figure out how to deplete the stamina bar.
Oh, if only that was a transferable
Right.
skill.
All right. Well, let's continue on here, and I'll let you answer some questions on Quest, and I'll go on to mute. And so with Quest, we had gold mines. There's two parts to it. There's the gold mines and the jewel mines. Gold mines went live last week, and jewel mines should be live this Wednesday, we think. Um, and so I know you were thinking about, let's go to your gold theory. I think this is something that's a very interesting question that you've proposed and put out to us.
Yeah, yeah. I like the term here. We'll call this the super bullish gold theory. Maybe I should coin that term. But basically, I was thinking the other day, and I was like, okay, so we know now that what your hero can earn in gold, and like we said, it's 60 to 70 gold per full stamina bar at the moment. And then as so that's a good baseline number, and we can convert that to Joule and figure out what those earnings are per run. Um, but I was thinking, there's a lot of people who are in a real big hurry to set their miners loose, unlocking that Joule. So basically, you're going to be burning stamina to unlock Joule that will eventually come to you for free. And the more I thought about that, that kind of seemed like a waste of stamina.
Ah, I
Um,
see where you're
you
going.
can always, right, yeah, you can always turn around and immediately sell your gold at the marketplace for Joule or pick your favorite coin. So it seemed to me that it would be a better investment to let the Joule unlock for free later. Plus, that's a good revenue stream, coming into our wallets for those of us who've been fortunate enough to be in the gardens for a while, that we can use to actually play the game, significantly down the road without having to fund it with any future further internal investment, at least for that full year it takes for it to unlock. So I think I don't know that I'm going to touch my lock jewel at all. I think I'm going to leave it sit, and I'm just going to work hard at chipping away the old gold mines.
I like it. I'm really interested to also see what items start going for sale. As you know from last time, I mentioned I'm bullish on potential stamina potions, and something that you've been asking us is, are you going to buy a gold egg? And so I guess if you're sending your army of miners out there to go grab gold, you could use that to fund a gold egg purchase.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I'm a ways away yet. I think I only have like 12K gold or something, and it takes 50K to purchase that gold egg. But yeah, unless there's other things that I'm spending it on by then, like you said, potions or whatnot, if there's no other use for it for me at the moment and I get to 50K, I think I will for sure buy that egg. I just think that there's value there. We don't really know yet what the different colors are going to be or what the bonuses or benefits are going to be. Um, but it's a golden egg, right? It's going
Right.
to be cool.
Yeah, well, even if you get 10K in about a week, 5 weeks to unlock an egg, I think that could be good. And then, I think something else, kind of what you're saying, but I think they could potentially have different levels of rarity on the summoned creatures as well. And so, maybe stockpiling a few, you might get a lucky roll and get a mythic bun bun. That and then I'd
Oh
put that
man.
in. But there really are some cool creatures out there, so I am looking forward to those a lot.
Yeah, and I think it is worth noting too that that a lot of that strategy does depend on, like I said, that conversion rate from gold to jewel. If that starts to swing one way where your mining jewel is more profitable, like significantly more profitable, that's always good. We always got to keep that in mind. Or if one, like you said, if certain items are only available in the jewel mine versus the gold mine, or vice versa, I think that's other important information that we'll have to keep in
Yeah, I
mind.
saw someone was looking at. I think it was Sarah from DFK Wiki was doing some data mining, and they saw that there's going to be wood in the gold and jewel mines, and that it's speculated
Really?
that the wood can be used for creating buildings. And so they're really setting up the long term, because then, of course, buildings have to be made on land. And so it looks like there's some interesting gold nuggets, if you will, out there.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Well, let's talk about sending out full stamina heroes. I know this is something, a practice that both you and I have adopted. It seems like the garden and the mine pulls are so much better when you send out that full stamina clip. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, I am actually, and I think I had seen someone had posted in Discord or I think it was Discord, or maybe it was even a Medium article or something, where they were suggesting that your chance for items increased. It depended on how you read the article, so I'll have to go back and we can, inform our listener of the real news later once we kind of get it ironed out. But it made it seem as though the more sets of 5 stamina you use together increased your percentages of finding items. And maybe I was reading it that way because that's what I wanted to read it, but we'll have to go double check that. But it definitely seems to be true.
Very, very interesting, and certainly lines up with what I've been seeing from an item and a experience standpoint. Okay, and then the last thing that I think you and I have both adopted this practice, but it is sending out your heroes to maximize their professions. And so even though I have a sage who's a fisher and would be an otherwise good gardener, I'm sending everyone out to their main profession to try to maximize the total number of runes that I'm pulling in. How about you?
Yeah, that's funny because the sage I have is actually a fisher too, and I do the same thing. He's pulling in bloaters left and right.
Yeah, I actually had a decent haul of runes here over the last few days. So that takes us up to our typical segment of leveling up in the combat corner. And so, right now my strategy, and we talked about this a little bit with the question of the day, is leveling up a ton of people. I'm using it as hopefully a differentiation tool when I go to sell some of my heroes later. And I'm definitely leveling up more than what I would consider to be my core party. And thankfully, I've been pulling in enough runes to start to fund that. Now, I don't have any level 4s yet. And I have a feeling that it's going to get a lot more expensive here in a hurry. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. Honestly, especially as it's getting harder to sell heroes, I think you do have to distinguish them a little bit. The common ninja I've been trying to sell forever, her name is Loretta Low Spirit. She must have a drinking problem or something. But anyway, I finally decided to level her to level 2. I'm thinking maybe that'll help get that hero moving off.
Maybe it'll pick up her spirits.
That's right. When I read that name, I thought that was hilarious. Loretta Low Spirit.
That's awesome. All right, now, with New Year's just yesterday, we of course need to do our DFK New Year's resolution. So I have 2 things that one thing I'm going to start doing, and one thing that I'm going to stop doing, and I'll ask the same for you. So first, my start, and then maybe we'll go to your start next. I'm planning on keeping a larger portion of my savings in USD in the gardens. And, I would say I'm fortunate enough that, the money that I've currently built up in my personal life, I don't have it all invested inside DFK. And so I actually, during the first surge of Jewel getting to $10, I was so excited to get the money out of the game. And I think that there's been a big mindset shift for myself in, kind of how much I believe in the game and how safe and comfortable I feel with the game environment itself. And so I'm storing some of my personal savings in USDC coin. And so it's a bit of a stable resource that at least allows it to, gain much higher interest rates than what you're getting in even a high yield savings account, which is where some of those dollars were before. So I'm pretty excited, and I actually already moved some dollars into that a couple days ago.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's actually a fascinating idea, right? I mean, because if you pair that then with Jewel that is invested in the game, and it seems like they're both invested, so you, there's a little bit of impermanent loss possibility there. But I mean, honestly, if anything, it would result in you having more dollars and less Jewel the way things are
Right.
going.
That's how I feel.
So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's great.
All right. So tell me about what's one New Year's resolution that you're going to make. One thing that you're going to start doing.
Yeah, so mine is kind of in a similar vein, but it's basically that I kind of come to the realization that I probably should not continue to reinvest the earnings in this game back into the game forever. At some point, you hear a lot of the time people talking about whales taking profit. Well, I'm no whale, but I mean, taking profit is real, and we do have real lives that we need to spend money on. So my New Year's resolution to start, I think, has got to be that I need to find a way to siphon a little bit of profit out. And the way I thought of doing that was, since we have these turns with our Gen Zeros, pretty repeatedly, it's almost like paydays, right? Like every 18 days or something. Um, I think I'm going to take a portion of all hero sales and move it. Similarly, now that I've read or heard your start uh, to USDC, maybe it's like 10% of all hero sales I pull out into US dollar stablecoin.
Yeah, I like it. And
I think that's my current plan, at least, is to as a way to reward myself for the gains that are happening in game.
yeah, and the APRs on the USDC are still pretty high right now. Now, of course, the garden pool incentivization is going to dry up. I believe that's scheduled at the same time as when Jewel starts to unlock. But that's still pretty exciting, and yeah, like I said earlier, you're going to earn more than you would on a high interest savings account. So that's an exciting way to take some out, and I think you're spot on, and I think we both share this in that I don't want to play the game forever, and we certainly have real life needs too, and so I think these are two really good tips for our listeners to try to make 2022 as profitable as possible. All right, so now let's go to something that I'm stopping doing, and it's going to be hard to do with Frisky Fox's recent announcement, but I'm going to try to stop impulse summoning. There were several times where I just kind of got caught up in the moment, really excited with, a video I saw or a text chain that we had or someone else had a great poll, and it had me thinking, why can't I do this too? And, kind of to your point of, I want to be a lot more, I guess, detail oriented about this investment. And as the price of Jewel is going up, which is fantastic, I'm trying to be really mindful of making sure that I'm using that value calculator that I talked about, back in episode 1 and 2, and trying to make sure that I'm summoning only the heroes that are going to add either value to my strategy in playing the game or my strategy in earning Jewel from the game.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. I think the key word there is to stop impulse summoning, right? Because I mean, there's still going to be summoning, but you want it to be more planned and executed summoning. And I think that's something that I also probably will steal from you a little bit, in the sense that, when it's my turn with the Gen Zeros and I probably will continue to rent, another person's Gen Zeros so that I'll get 4 new heroes every turn. If any of those 4 heroes or all of them don't meet the criteria for my strategy moving forward, I think I need to just sell them all at current price. Just like you said, otherwise, if I keep them for too long, the urge to summon it's there and it's real, and you fall victim to it. So I think that's another fantastic.
Yeah,
one.
and that kind of takes us up to yours of what you're going to stop doing as well, getting sentimental about heroes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some of those heroes that I've had for a couple months now, you bought a while back, and you start to you almost look forward to their quest halls every time, because you're like, oh, I wonder what hero X brought this time. You can't really do that. This is an investment. I mean, there are some, if you've got that mythic that you summon that you plan to hold on long term, I think that's a safe one to kind of get a little sentimental for. But for example, I had a rare warrior that I bought, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months ago. I had probably 2 months ago for, at the time, it seemed like a lot. It was like almost 200 jewel. And then I finally just sold him last night for like 72. And I was like, whoa, how did I do that? And then I got looking and I went back to the like CoinGecko's price tracker for jewel. And I had bought them when it was like $3 a jewel. So I still ended up making like $600-700 on the hero, even though I bought him for 200 and sold him for 75. It's like it kind of blew my mind a little bit when I looked at those numbers. So that's a primary reason to not get sentimental, is because you can't just look at that purchase price when the price is doing these crazy swings, because it doesn't really tell you anything. It's just a number on a page. Really, you got to go look at what the data behind it says. And like I said, to your point of getting the impulse out of this, and just let's rely on the cold hard math.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And actually, I think to your goal here, I will be trying to sell my mythic at some point. I think the hardest part is going to be that I'm trying to differentiate him from a pricing perspective by leveling him up more. And so I'm going to be playing him, and I imagine it's going to get continually more and more hard to part ways at the end of the day. But if anyone's looking for a Dark Knight Mythic for 1,500 Jewel, let me know, and he can be yours with Jewel at this price for sure. So, yeah.
That's right. And it's RAPH, Raph, RAPH. You'll find him on Discord.
That's right. Shill some heroes here. All right. Well, thanks, Nidorf. Yep. A very happy New Year's and holidays to you and to your Gen 1s at home. And I
yeah, absolutely. You
yeah,
too,
and
man.
I hope also to our listeners, and I wish our listeners a great year and a very profitable year. And thank you for listening and subscribing.